I'm your host, Janice Matui, and this is A Sit at the Table. A Sit at the Table delves into the intricacies of professional skills and emotional intelligence, offering insights on how you can thrive in the present and ensure long-term relevance. Serving as a gateway to mastering today's evolving professional and business landscape, our focus is to equip audiences with the necessary tools that ensure they thrive in the present, but also secure enduring relevance in the future. So join us, like and subscribe, A Sit at the Table, only on YouTube.
My name is Prudence Muchinouta, and I'm serving in the role of Chief Financial Officer with a social enterprise here in Zambia, Community Markets for Conservation. And our social enterprise focuses on sustainable livelihoods, with its core and its vision focused on supporting the rural communities and empowering them through their challenges, and at the same time, supporting and sustaining the environment and the wildlife protection around Zambia. Well, that day still goes through my mind, and the emotions that arose through the announcement. But it all goes back to how I got to be the award winner on that day. And as a finance professional, it is a process. You never dream of the day that the finance profession itself can start awarding people, because it all seems like our work is projected, it's predetermined. You know what you have to do when you walk into the office. There's bookkeeping, there's accounting, there's internal controls, and at the end of the month, you have to balance the books and report. But with finance evolving to become more than just number crunching and reporting, you have to dig within yourself what it is that motivates you. And I believe that's what brought me to that day of winning this special award. It is my passion for serving, my passion for protection of the environment that we live in, and understanding the challenges that arise if we don't protect the environment, but also being humane. And what drives you to be humane is the communities that we live around. So some of the strategies are just allowing myself to be me, allowing myself to apply what drives me each and every morning that I say I'm going to work, and building that up, combining it with my skills in accounting. I think that's what has led me to what I do every day and succeed in what I do every day. Leadership seems to just have been defined as the opposite of finance. And on a daily basis, you interact with your colleagues and you admire the way they apply themselves. And you see that as a set standard for leadership, because when they walk into the room, they are speaking operations, they are speaking human capital and how to take care of such. But I think what's so special about leadership and finance and balancing the two is finance encompasses it all. It encompasses everything. When you're talking about finance, especially today, you're looking at not just balancing the books, but are your employees happy? Are you rewarding them well? Are they motivated? When you talk about profitability, how are you attaining that profitability in your company? Are you sustainable? Are you responsible for the environment? Are you responsible for the stakeholders around you? When you're talking about the bottom line, what is motivating that bottom line? And when you look at all those dotted lines, it's all about leadership. So to be able to work with your staff, motivate them, keep them happy, and keep them attaining their responsibilities, it's leadership. When you're looking at the bottom line, to actually be able to attain that bottom line, it goes beyond production. It comes down to the strategies that you also contribute to as a finance leader. So leadership is actually now built within the finance aspects. And we are seeing that as finance professionals, we are always challenged to turn around, that gap that existed, or, that rope that sort of drew apart finance and leadership. And it's not an easy journey, I could say. So every day you learn from the past leaders, you learn from your colleagues, you learn from the experiences around you, and you try to bring this together with your finance expertise. And of course, the challenge of balancing that and also fulfilling your responsibilities comes back to time management. And if I were to speak to another woman, there's so many great challenges between leadership and finance, because it requires an extra effort, extra time. So you've got your finance responsibilities and you're still trying to take care of everything around you at work, at home, and in your social circles. You need to respect yourself and pay attention to actually what is important so that you can start prioritizing. And that's the key to everything. We are most grateful for AI, and we are most grateful for the digital world that we live in. I think a couple of years back, we relied on journals, and I think the finance profession has done so much greatness, because you've got accounting magazines, you've got journals that were published on a month-to-month basis, but it also takes your initiative to read them. And often at times you'd find, I think there's something that many finance professionals can confess, you'd only read these journals towards the year end when you want to apply some of the recommendations that have been reported, or you want to meet your CPD. But now with the evolving trends, there is change of information on a daily basis. So now you've got so many podcasts. Just a week ago, I was trying to find a podcast that would actually align with a challenge I was going through at work. And I could say thousands of recommendations came up. And I think that actually helps us, because you can take a spare moment, 10, 15 minutes to go through a podcast, and you get to learn from some of the top names and successful names in industry and globally as well. And these are giving you the experiences and recommendations and how they've actually resolved some of these challenges in their companies. So we always have a reference point, but it has to be your initiative that you have to take, and also the extra time and effort that you have to apply to research, and also be able to look through as to what is actually being said and what is actually up to date in your profession. I think I've mastered the art of storytelling, and this comes from working in a social enterprise. My CEO is a founder and a visionary, and an interesting point I always bring about is he asked me what was the purpose of paying payee, pay as you earn. I laughed it off, and technically, I think earlier in my career, I would have thought, do I even need to respond? Because it sounds like an obvious question. But that means there is an accounting aspect or finance aspect that you need to make him understand. And through that, I had to give a story to make him actually appreciate what payee is, and when it's paid, how it benefits, the employee in the future after it's collected by the tax authorities, but also make him understand that payee is not our money. It actually belongs to the employee. So even if we don't pay, we are not prejudicing just the government, but also the employee. So it goes back to many other financial aspects. It's simplifying them. I've spoken about storytelling, but also trying to understand in what context people need to understand the numbers. So there are different scenarios you can explain profitability. There are different scenarios you can explain revenue. And it all depends with the audience, and you have to capture and understand your audience. Well, I like the fact that complex is relative, and it all depends with the audience that you're speaking with. And as in my introduction, I mentioned that I work in a social enterprise. So social enterprise has a business concept and a non-governmental concept. And the readers of my financial statements are both people from the private sector, the financial services, which is the banks and the investors. And then I also have people that are driven by impact. And these are just coming to contribute to to our works so that we can attain or achieve what we have set in our strategies. So one interesting example I can give is in my reports, you will find deferred revenue. And it's exciting that even the auditors do get to ask me, to what extent or in what concept do you define deferred revenue in your books? And I'm looking at, and that opened my eyes, because what that meant is deferred revenue from a corporate perspective is different. But in simple terms, my deferred revenue is just reporting the funds that I received from the donors that I haven't utilized in this year. And you're just trying to match a simple accounting principle according to any accountant, but that doesn't seem so simple to everybody else. So I think the most important aspect when you're trying to explain complex transactions is to get the diverse audience to understand your business. And anything else that you explain to them becomes simplified and aligned to what your business line is. I would love to say that work-life balance is overrated. But again, my mentor would be mad at me for saying that, because it is something that is important to you and I, and it is something that we're all encouraged to achieve. And I drive my balance from athletes. You know, even when I look at leadership and how I go on about my day-to-day life, I look at the life of an athlete, because there's no other person that dedicates their time and commitment just like an athlete. They have a time schedule of everything that they need to do, and they need to rest at the end of it, because if they don't do that, they will not perform. So I use sports to relax, because in that moment, I know that I'm taking care of my health. I'm also taking care of not just health in general, I'm taking care of my mental health, and I'm taking care of my physical health. When you are exercising, you actually get moments you give to yourself. And I play golf. I also play tennis. And golf in itself allows you moments where you get to appreciate nature, you get to talk to yourself, and also even assess yourself in terms of behavior, in terms of what you have been trying to do, in terms of the challenges that you've been facing. And that sort of takes care of my time out of the office. But again, over the years, I think one thing that's very key to note is when you're looking at work-life balance, I think it's seasonal. There are moments I might want to commit much of my time to sports and relaxation, and then you realize that there's not enough time for you to grow your career. So there is a season for everything, and I think that's very important to note when we're looking at how to strike that balance. Right now, I regard myself as somebody who's got my career at its peak, and I would be requiring myself to commit much of my time towards my career growth, because this time is not going to be there forever. And then if I can balance that, allow myself to breathe, but still focus on what's important in this season, I believe that there will be a time when I can allocate much more of relaxation and the social life, and my career rewarding me for that. So as a lover of sport, the life of the Williams sisters has played a key role into my leadership and the kind of work that I follow or articles that I read. So I've mentioned already, I love sport and I love tennis. So I read a lot of Serena's writings. I think every day I'm looking out for Serena's writings. It's very sad she took over her sister because I used to follow Venus. But when I look at some of the books, and especially one of the books that I'm actually currently reading now is by Seth Godin. And I think the past 3-4 months I've been listening to podcasts, articles, YouTube videos of Seth Godin, discovering that he's got more than 12 books about leadership and management. And the book I'm currently reading is The Significance of a Song. And I love this quote, which is right at the back of the book, which says, it speaks about beehives not being in charge of making good honey, but good honey actually comes from a healthy hive. And that quote, when I bought this book, that quote just took my eyes off every other book, trying to discern the difference between a good hive and a healthy hive. And I think that's the journey of a leader. That's the journey that we walk in our lives. And another book that I've read over and over again, I think in the past 5 years, is the book Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office. And I remember one of my workmates saw it in my office and she was like, "But you already got the corner office." And I smiled at her and I said, there is something that I haven't gotten yet. So there's somewhere I'm still playing nice. But there's a lot that you get from that book. As much as the title is quite interesting, there's so much knowledge and wisdom that's in there, which helps us as women to pave our way, to prioritize, and to appreciate and understand what is important as we try to navigate, the space in leadership. And I'm also reading another book, which is on my bed. It's not such a professional book, but it's one that many other women could actually appreciate. It's called The Burnout. And the interesting summary of that book is it says, she's got everything, but not just anything. And it sounds like it's speaking the opposite, but also there's so much about it. It speaks about the journey of a woman trying to navigate work-life balance and also trying to succeed, in this challenging world.